What a... It's not on. Testing. Oh, there we go. There we go. Nope. Go back away. Hold on, let me try another one. We got a couple. Okay. All right. Can we hear? There we go. What a way to end the night. Can we have another round of applause for these incredible films? You saw The Print in the Woods, Hi Friends, Lequando, The Specter of Christmas, Dizzy, The Butterfly Project, Moving, and Rip Her to Pieces. All right. Are the filmmakers here from these films? If so, come on up. We'd love to talk to you for a few minutes. What I loved about these films, they were all very different. Last night, if you were here last night for our late night film block, we had a short and a feature, and they were very horror-based. And Tony Gappistone this morning, he was like, these are very different. These aren't necessarily horror films, but they're psychological thrillers. They're just interesting, captivating films, and I 100% agree. Yeah, come on, have a seat. Yes, congratulations to all of you. I'm going to turn on this other mic. I'll hand this to you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I will hand this one, and we can just share these microphones. All right. So first, what I want to do, I just want to have some introductions. So if you can just say your name, what film you were with, and what role you played in the film.
Yeah, my name is Sam Hyatt. I was the producer of The Print in the Woods, the first film. Thanks.
My name's Luke Krieger, and I'm the writer and director of The Print in the Woods.
Hi, my name's Aiden Rice, and I am the co-director and co-producer of Rip Her to Pieces.
Hi, my name is Megan Atherton, and I am the writer, co-director, producer, lead actress, all the things in Rip Her to Pieces.
Amazing. Yes, give them another hand. Okay, I have so many questions, but I'm gonna limit it a little bit, and then I'm gonna open it up to the audience. First of all, thank you to everyone who's watching us online. Thank you all again for being here this evening, for staying up. I know it's late, but thank you for hanging in there with us. So again, super interesting films. My question for all of you to start is, how did you come up with these concepts? Like, what made you think, okay, this is the story that I want to tell?
Well, I like to go hiking, and I found a weird animal track in the woods, and that's sort of what spawned the idea. And then I grew up watching like Bigfoot shows and stuff like that. So I was kind of tapping into that for when I was writing The Print in the Woods.
Yeah, I love it.
So this is kind of a personal story, but a couple years ago, one of my best friends lost her mother. And it just made me realize like how much friendships and relationships in general are really affected by grief and how that kind of takes over people. Mm-hmm. So I really wanted to explore that. And at first it was more of like just kind of this long fight between two friends as they're like navigating the grief they're going through and everything. And then I've always been obsessed with tornadoes. And I had this idea to like make it more of a psychological thriller and kind of, have her grief metastasize in this like physical thing. So it kind of just molded from this like little short film about like a friendship fight into this like huge thing. I don't even know, but I had to write the feature first, actually, for one of my college classes, and that really just expanded the idea and helped me like build it into the short. So I'm really grateful for that, and we already have the feature written.
I was going to say, the feature coming up
really
next.
It's really cool, yeah.
I love that. All right, so my next question is, one thing I noticed that was similar in all the films was the use of sound and music and how much that really brought the story together. So anyone can take this question or we can go down the line. How did you choose what moments you really wanted to emphasize, whether with music or heightening those sound effects? What was your thought process when you were in the editing process working with the sound?
Yeah, do you? Okay. I feel like it's hard when you're trying to recreate such like a huge force of nature. Mm-hmm. So like this is also still like really in development. Like this was like the first version pretty much. So we haven't even gone through a sound designer yet. That was kind of just like what we were working with. But I knew that like especially like when the door gets blown off and stuff, I was like, I know that's a moment that I want everything to feel like super, super intense. So I had a lot of talks with like our editor, and I was like, this part, like there needs to be stuff crashing. It needs to feel like the whole world is coming down. And then with the music, we also don't have our soundtrack yet. So it's all like regular mainstream music at the moment. But those were kind of our inspiration songs for the whole thing. So we kind of just placed them where they kind of inspired the scenes, and then our composer is using that and a no music version to like build the soundtrack. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Thank you.
To kind of add on to that, I think that it's really important to note that we started integrating sounds of like the tornado and like the thunderstorms really early on in the film. Just to kind of give you a taste of what's coming. And I think that that really eases you into the whole grief aspect of it. And it allows you to kind of, you know, indulge in what they're going through. So, yeah.
Trying to think. I guess I was trying to really focus on the specific nature sounds that kind of like heighten some of the pieces, like when the main character finds out that he's been conned, like kind of dropping everything out from there, so we can kind of sit in that awkward silence of it all. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, I worked with our composer Marcus just to kind of ebb and flow with the main character's journey throughout the whole thing.
I love that. Okay, so I'm going to ask one more question, and then I'm going to open it up to the audience. So start thinking about your questions now. One of my favorite questions to ask is, filmmaking is personal, right? So what was your favorite part of bringing this story to life? It can be during the development process. It can be a moment on set and editing, even in a festival situation when, you know, actually seeing it on the big screen. So in this process of bringing these films to life, what has been your favorite part?
I think for me, it's like coming up with such a weird idea and then getting enough people interested in it to hop on board. That's probably like the most rewarding thing. And through that process, like Sam and I have created like a really solid crew that we continue to do work with. So that was probably like the most rewarding aspect of it.
Yeah.
Kind of similar to you guys. We actually, Megan and I met about a year and a half ago in college.
Wow.
We didn't know each other before school, actually, so that's a little fun fact for you. We started planning this, maybe 2 years ago, and it took about 10 months of development of pre-production work. Okay. So it took a long time to get to where we are today. However, there have been multiple meetings in pre-production where we just sat and talked and bonded over these characters and this whole world. And I honestly wouldn't change it for anything else. As far as production goes, there were a couple of moments that, you know how production goes. If something doesn't go wrong, the film's not going right. There was my friend. So the car that you see in the film, it's a 1971 Plymouth, and we borrowed it from our lead actor. Our other lead actress is in the audience right now, Summer, and she was the driver of this car. And this is an older car, okay? So the keys are a little different. And he had a stack of like 3 or 4 keys on his key ring, okay? And he was originally the one that was driving it up onto the like the driveway area, and then she would get in, and then she would like turn the key and turn the lights on. He didn't mention that there were different keys that did not go in the ignition. Oh. And so she put one of the keys in. Sorry, Summer, I love you.
We love these stories.
I know. One of the keys did not go in the ignition. So the whole scene that you saw, the car actually was broken. We were up until 3:30 in the morning waiting for a tow truck because the key got stuck in the ignition and it broke off. So that was a little fun. Yeah, lots of long nights, long conversations, a lot of team building exercises.
That's a good way to put it.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
This is funny because I think this is like one of my favorite parts from this film specifically, but also just like in my career so far as a filmmaker. Like I said, I started writing this a really long time ago, and it was completely different before it got to this point. And I really turned this corner with this version of the film, like exactly a year ago, I want to say, in like July. And I've worked for an incredible film festival in Reno for 6 or 7 years now. I'm not even really sure. But I met an amazing man named Andrew Arguello there in one of my first years there. And I had always looked up to him, really wanted to work with him. And he basically reached out to me and he was like, how are you doing? Like, I just want to talk to you. And I told him about the script. He told me to send it to him. And he was like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but like, this is one of the best scripts I've ever written.
Love that.
And he was like, I'm going to do it for free if you cover my like travel and lodging.
Yeah.
So like, not only was that just incredible because I looked up to this person, but we were students and we didn't really feel like this ambitious story was even possible. And for him to believe it in that way, like, still just makes me so happy. But yeah.
But I love that. Yeah. But I love that because it's a testament to trusting your voice, going after the stories that you want, because you never know. You never know who's going to resonate with it and want to help you succeed and bring your stories to life.
Yeah. Let me take this really quick. Especially as female filmmakers, I'm sure there's a bunch of us in the audience. It's, it's a little bit harder to get our voices out there, and I think it's really important for us to, really stand up for ourselves and advocate
100%.
for things that we think are possible. So, with a women-led story, pretty much all female cast too, which is, it's been really important to both Megan and I. But yeah, none of this would have been possible without Andrew. So shout out, Andrew.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. All right, we have a few minutes left, so I do want to open it up to the audience. If there are a few questions, you can just raise your hand. I'm going to come around with the microphone so we can hear you, and you can ask our filmmakers whatever you want. Any questions? Yeah. Okay, so 1 and 2. Excuse me.
Welcome, Jesse. Thank you for joining us, by the way.
Of course. Good to see everybody. My question is both for Aiden and Megan. Working to tell such a tight story and taking a feature and making it work at a smaller scale, is there anything you guys can talk about in terms of approaching the story and developing it into a bigger film, like a feature film, like you said?
Honestly, I think that's a question for Megan.
Honestly, it was probably the hardest thing I've ever done. I'm not gonna lie. I was in this incredible screenwriting class, and our entire assignment for the year was to finish a feature script. And I knew I had this idea and so many little ideas within it that I was like, I'm just gonna jump in and try to go after this. I ended up writing 70 pages for this script, and it's very rough. It's definitely not finished at all. But I was like, I need to make a proof of concept. Like, I need something to show that we can do this because it's so ambitious too. So I basically just started reading through the script over and over again. And I was like, okay, what are the most important moments? What moments do I need to hit? What really drives home the whole overall theme of the story that explores grief and friendship? And I ended up narrowing it down to 5 pivotal scenes, and that's basically what you see in this short film. But it was really hard. It took a lot of time, and I talked to my professor about it probably every week. He was probably like, Megan, stop talking. But he was very much a help in that sense. But yeah, it was not easy at all.
I think there was another question up here. I know the lights are a little bright. So if we don't see you the first time, just wave your hand a little bit. It's a little hard to see with these lights.
Yeah, hi. I asked this at every screening to the filmmakers. What was the editing process like for both of you guys?
No.
Do you guys know?
It sounds like you have something to say.
Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first? You can go. Oh boy. Okay. Well, our wonderful cinematographer took on the task. I was originally supposed to edit it. I'm going to school originally for editing. That's kind of what I wanted to do. That was my field house. And so he had already been downloading files onto his computer, and he was like, these files are huge. You're not getting them back unless we transfer some hard drives. And he lives in Reno. So I'm like, there's no way I'm getting them from Reno and from California. Dude, that's not possible. But our ADR needs a little bit of love. Like Megan said, it's still kind of in the works. We're in the middle of putting our final touches on it. We were originally supposed to go to Reno to do some ADR with Summer and Megan for that, the scene that you guys saw outside. That scene was actually shot with a leaf blower and a hose. So it was very loud outside, and we could not hear any of the audio. So ADR was thank you. ADR was very needed for that. But as far as editing goes, he was phenomenal. Audio I think was our biggest issue. Unless you have anything to add.
I think I gave Andrew a huge text of 150 notes. And I think he thought I was a little bit insane, but he took every single one of them, and it just happened. And I don't know, we kind of just threw it together really fast because I love BraveMaker. This is my 3rd year here, and I always want to come back. So I was like, we need to get it at least in a rough draft so I can get it here. So I'm really excited about that. But yeah, it was very easy. Andrew is the best and so helpful. So we were really grateful for that. Yeah.
I remember, sorry. I keep having things that I want to add. Megan came to me one day and she was like, hey, have you seen the video? I was like, no. I was like, why? And she goes, you need to watch this. And luckily at school we have these huge screening rooms in our classroom. And she asks our professor, she's like, hey, can I log into the computer? I need to watch this. And so she pulls me aside after class and she goes, Aiden, watch this. And so we watch it through and she's like, this needs to be done. She's freaking out. Do you remember that? She was like, this whole thing needs to be done. And there were a couple things that needed to be tweaked here and there, but she was wanting to get it done. Yeah, you are your own worst critic, yeah. But other than that, it's nothing crazy.
Trying to think. The one thing, whenever you're shooting a character with glasses, you always got to be really mindful of reflections. And the end shot, which is most crucial to see David's facial expression, there's a shot, and Sam, I think, was in the reflection holding a light or something. I am going to throw you under the bus. Thank you for holding the light. But I ended up having to take it into Resolve, track it out, and then essentially mask the whole thing. And I probably spent half a day just working on that just to get it in the right spot. So I'm always very mindful now of any reflections. But yeah, thank you, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Really enjoyed both your shorts.
Thank you.
Yeah, so for Print in the Woods, one of the things when we were in film school, they're like, oh, don't do a period piece, for your short film. Actually, both of y'all have kind of period pieces, right? So, why'd you both choose period pieces, despite knowing the dangers? And then for you two in reparative pieces, what were the benefits and challenges of co-directing?
I guess I think I just like the look better than if it was set in like modern times. And at the time when like that famous like Bigfoot walking across that video came out around like I think in the 70s, so I kind of wanted to like harken back to that, but obviously doing like entire 70s is like very hard to do. So doing it somewhat in the 90s kind of like gave us a little bit of flexibility.
Yeah, I think like for films, we were talking about this too. Like I think stylistically, I really don't like when films can become like dated really quickly. Like if you see I don't know, like an iPhone 7 in like some movie, it really takes you out of it, even though it's not that old of a movie. So I think like, to me, like the sweet spot is like 20 years ago, like with old kind of technology, more like analog, whatever, that kind of feels like a spot where that could be kind of any time. So I think we like placed like the 1998 or whatever in the edit, but it was like intentionally supposed to be ambiguous. So you didn't see any like modern tech, just so it could feel kind of timeless and take place at any real time.
I'll also say like the tape recorder wouldn't really make sense to use as like a, he's not really around anybody. And so him kind of recording his findings is sort of the only way the audience gets to know like what he's thinking. So that also kind of contributes to the time period.
For me, I ended up writing it based in 1974 for like three reasons, really. One is because one of the worst tornadoes in history happened in Xenia, Ohio in 1974. And I kind of wanted to like highlight that real story. And then also we all know like the 70s were kind of like this free spirit, like fun time. And I wanted like Renee's character, who's very much a free spirit, to kind of counteract my character completely. So it just felt natural to set it in that time period. And then my mom was also born in 1974. So that's how it ended up that way. And then co-directing, I mean, for me, it was great. Like, we were so locked in from the beginning, and I was like, I know these are the themes that I want. I know this is, like, the overall story that we're going for, and we very much had an understanding between the both of us exactly what we were going for. So really, when I got on set, I just got to focus on Alice, and that was really important for me, and I really only had to step in if there was, like, animosity? How do you say that word? Animosity. Like, if there was, like, some thing we couldn't figure out or that kind of thing, I would step in, but for most of the time, I was in character.
For me, I always love working with Megan. Like I said, like we've known each other for a year and a half, 2 years. I actually never would have thought that Megan and I would have been this close. She actually, I think you acted in her film Consequences, and I actually came up to her at our school's film festival, and I was like, hey, I want to do what you're doing. And we sat down and we had a long conversation, and she brought up Ripper to Pieces, and I fell in love with it. And we had a lot of very, very, very hard conversations regarding the plot, the characters, and everything that we wanted to accomplish with this. And she actually helped me on my first ever short film that I directed. And she told me, she's like, that solidified that for me. Like, you're hired. And I'm like, okay, say less. Exactly. You have to go after what you want. Exactly. And, like, I wouldn't have done it with anybody else. Megan and I are very much the same person. We think the same. The only con really was the fact that she was acting and I couldn't, like, reflect my thoughts. But she was focused, and I appreciated that. It allowed me to have a lot of liberties that I probably wouldn't have felt comfortable taking if I didn't have her as my co-director, and I really appreciate her for letting me lean on her, especially in my first, like, really, like, big film. So I have her to thank for everything. So
one last question.
Hopefully this is entertaining for other people, but I have seen some of your guys' work in the past, and it's so cool to, like, keep seeing more. But specifically for the post-production, how the F do you do post so fast? Especially you two on the left. You guys just like churn the films out. But also you were like, we need this for BraveMaker.
This one was slower than I would have liked, I think, for Print in the Woods. But I think, what was the total time? 6 months? Like,
oh my God.
Yeah, I didn't, but like, I think the big thing for this was getting the sound design right and the VFX things, because I was standing in the lights or whatever. But I don't know, our kind of, our mantras, we've been working together, and Luke's an amazing DP as well, our good friend and usually gaffer Brian Lee. He DP'd this film, but we have a really good partnership where I'll direct and he'll DP, and when he's directing, I'll produce. So our kind of MO is like, we also kind of met like a year and a half ago as well, and we've started to make films, and I don't know, I think there's a lot that even if you do everything right, you get the right actors, have the perfect script, have the perfect location, whatever, you put together a film and it might not work out. Like there's reasons it might not, which is the magic of it. Like there's no formula for this. So I think there's a benefit in doing volume, and you hope kind of your moving average of films gets better over time. And so I think the other thing is like your film's never going to be perfect either. So I think it's really important to try to get your stories out as quickly as you reasonably can, like do all you can in pre-production to make it work well. But at the same time, there is the only way you're going to get better at directing or any aspect of filmmaking is by doing it, and you need to get those reps in, and the short film format is a great way to do that, because you can get pretty quick feedback on how things are looking, and you can move on to the next one, because things like we shot Print in the Woods in 2 days, and like so you get it, move on, do the post-production process, get that feedback, and keep going. So that's kind of our MO, is we're every 3 months, if we're not churning out something, then I get very antsy. So like that's kind of, yeah.
For us, it was extremely fast. Andrew, I mean, he's a godsend. But he was basically like DITing on set too. Like any little break we have, he would like already be cutting stuff together and like getting it going. But the script also went through probably 50 different revisions. And once we got to the version that we're using, like me and Andrew just kind of had this unspoken language of like, okay, we know exactly where we're cutting and what we're cutting to. Okay. So we sent him back to Reno with the footage, and literally I think like 2 days later it was sent back to me.
That's incredible.
Which is insane,
wow.
But yeah.
To add to that, we, as director and cinematographer, I had just met Andrew like the day of shooting. Like I had never met Andrew before we shot, and he kind of introduced himself, and he was like, "Hey, I'm Andrew," and I was like, "Hey, I'm Aiden." And I was like, "Hey, look, like I'm an editor. I'm really looking forward to like editing this. Like, can I talk to you?" Like I was really looking forward to working with an actual professional. It's something that I've never done before. And he walked me through everything, and he was verbalizing. Is that the right word? Verbalizing? Yeah, okay. He was verbalizing everything that he was shooting in a way that it would be edited. So he was thinking in the way of a director, cinematographer, and an editor, which I thought was extremely refreshing, especially in terms of me being an editor. It really made me rethink how I directed, because when you think like an editor when you're directing, you completely change the way you direct. You're more precise, you're more direct, and you know what you want, and if it doesn't work, then you cut it. And I thought that was such a great thing that Andrew really brought to the table, and it was really eye-opening for all of us.
Can we please give another round of applause to these amazing filmmakers? Thank you all so much for sharing your stories. Again, it's an honor to have you a part of our festival this year, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of your work. Thank you. All right. Thank you all again for staying up. Again, I know it's late, but you hung in there with us. You are amazing. Tomorrow we have another full day of programming. It's our last day of the festival. So if you're able to stick around, we'd love to have you. In the meantime, have a great night, get some rest, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Great.
Yeah, you
It was
did great.
Also,
Really
I thought
good,
the sound was
guys.
awesome.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Thank you.
even for the rain part, I thought it was
Thank
great.
you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
That means the world.
I was,
'Cause, yeah,
when
that
you were
was
talking
our
about
biggest
ADR, I
challenge.
was like, it sounded really good. To me.
Okay.
It sounded
Slay.
convincing. So.
Slay. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Those were iPhone recordings. Yeah.
Hey,
I'm not
you
gonna
know,
lie. Out of an iPhone. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
Did you
I think
guys
this
have
is still
it?
on. Yes,
You
it
had
is.
a sound recorder, right?
We did have a